Hello, friends, and welcome back to Malicious Compliance Stories. Let's start our video with a story about a power-tripping fast food manager who learned the hard way that barking ridiculous orders can backfire. Literally. But before we begin, best way to support our channel is to leave comments, like, and subscribe with the turned-on bell so you don't miss the new video every single day. Here we go. Crazy Karen at local grocery store. In my day job, I've been working from home, give or take furlough. To that end, I was tasked along with a couple of management-type people to head over to our local grocery store to price out supplies for a welcome-back social event at the office. Cleaning supplies plus food-type things that we can put together in a grab-and-go style conference room function. Cast of characters at the store. Me, boss number 1, B1, and boss number 2, B2. Of course, there was also Karen of the generic hair. For context, the dress code for workers at this store incorporates a white dress shirt, black khaki pants, and a black name tag on the chest. None of us office workers were dressed in any way remotely resembling this, but we were all carrying clipboards to take notes for later when we were ready to come back and buy the stuff, hence the confusion, I suppose. Karen arrived and, without even a greeting, started up with her demands. You guys are out of whatever product. I need you to go get some from the back. Me. Oh, sorry, I know I'm carrying a clipboard, but I don't actually work here. You can tell any employee from how they're dressed. I'm sure they'll be happy to help you. Karen did not find this acceptable. I do not find this acceptable, she repeated redundantly. You either help me this instant or go get your manager who will fire you and then help me. B1 happened to be nearby down the aisle, so I flagged her over. You want to talk to my manager? Here she is, and I stepped aside. Karen lays into her. You really need to train your employees better. This man, accompanied by a finger jab to my chest, is refusing to help me. You need to review his employment status and then get me what I need. B1 half ignores Karen and says to me, Hey, OP, did you get a second job at the store without telling me? I answered, Nope, I still work for you, not for them. She said, Okay, then carry on. I'm sure this lady can find a store worker to help her. Now, one unfortunate aspect of the culture we live in is that a woman in authority is not always taken as seriously as she should be. It's doubly true for B1, who, in addition to her gregarious personality, also is on the smaller size physically. Additionally, although she's in her mid-30s, she happens to look legitimately 12 years old. Karen, on the other hand, has reached red-hot status and has now found herself a second target. Un-effing believable. I can't believe the disrespectful little children they let into this store. You're gonna help me now or I will report you directly to the owner who goes to my church. That's when B2 rounds the corner, witnesses the situation, and immediately figures out what's going on. One thing to know about B2 is that her physical characteristics, she's pretty much the opposite of B1. She's 6 feet tall, she's very solidly built physically. She doesn't walk so much as she lumbers. She's ex-military and is fully trained to take charge in a wartime situation. Short version, this woman knows how to effectively take up the ample space she's been given. Bonus points, she's British and her accent gives her an extra weight of authority when she wants to flex her authority. She wanted to flex her authority. She walks up behind Karen and asks in her best command voice, Is there a problem here? Karen takes on a smug facial expression as if to say, Finally, I found somebody competent. Then she turns around, takes a look at B2 in her mountainous position directly behind her. I see her face lose its smugness, and the only sound she can manage is a half-surprised, half-terrified squeak. These people have told you already they don't work here. I suggest you walk away right now. Perhaps leave the store before things get a little more uncomfortable for you. Are we in agreement here? Karen starts moving rapidly away in a manner I can only describe as scampering. I suspect she actually did leave the store because her face suggested she was unable to coexist in the same space as her abject embarrassment. And the three of us office types were able to finish our party planning and make it out of the store without further incident. It's astounding how Karens think you should be fired for not immediately bowing down and submitting to their insanity. Also, I've never heard an employee say, I don't work here, while in uniform at their place of employment. Coworker made my life hell, so I let her go on vacation before dropping my resignation bomb. My coworker and I share a space. She's been there 3 years, myself 5 months. She is not my boss, but constantly looks over my shoulder telling me how to change my work. She is rude to the people we work with overseas online. She does it all on speakerphone and ignores me when I ask her to use a headset while she yells at them. She talks about her stomach problems and her issues in toilet. When I ask her not to, she tells me to get over it. If another coworker comes to speak to me, she answers for me and over me. She also swears at her computer, verbally responding to emails she doesn't like, talks over her breath while reading her work constantly. I told her many times to please stop, and she got pissed, saying she doesn't jump to my tune and complains of having to walk on eggshells around me as she isn't accustomed to modifying her behavior for anyone. The company's tiny, the owner insanely, pitifully cheap, so I'm the first person in years that's able to cover her work. She's desperate for vacation and recently booked a long trip to Hong Kong for 2.5 weeks. She doesn't know yet I was recently offered a way better full-time job through someone I've worked freelance for in the past. My freelancer is understanding if I was to wait a bit before I end my current employment, as my coworker's holiday is in 2 weeks. But I think I'll give my notice early. Our boss is a huge a-hole and my coworker hates his guts, and it should be an interesting fallout if she goes on holiday and there's no one else who can do her job. She'll have a total meltdown. Update. So my awful coworker has been in a great mood the last few weeks and obsessively setting me up to take over her projects for the next 3 weeks, which I'm dutifully doing. She also clogged the workplace toilet, denied she did it, and left it before leaving on Wednesday, today's Friday, and told me to get the cleaners to deal with it today. Thought you guys would enjoy that bit. I received my official job offer, coincidentally, an hour before she left. I told her I was leaving, and she does understand because this place sucks. I told her I'd do my best for her during her holiday and make sure all is okay. Then I went and told the owner. He laughed at me and said he would talk to me the next day, yesterday. So yesterday he goes into this whole thing about how when he hired me, he contacted my references. I didn't give him any, and they all told him to watch out for me and that he was gracious enough to give me a chance because it's very hard out there right now, and I should relax and wait a few months so he could give me a raise. Just be patient. I realized he thought I was bluffing. I said repeatedly that I have a job offer and I was accepting it, and I would do my due diligence not to screw over my coworker and VP of sales to cover the project so we don't mess up the multi-million-dollar order. The owner just kind of shrugged because he'd happily cut off his nose to spite his face. Today, Friday, I saw him interviewing someone for my job. Yesterday at 4 p.m., we had the above convo, and at 10 a.m. today, they were interviewing. I'm in a small industry that's going through hard times, and I'm going into something tangentially related but not the same. So I guess it doesn't take long to find someone. So he just called me into his office a half hour ago and told me to leave. So I said, okay, and grabbed my stuff. Where I live, he'll have to pay me out for an additional week by law for letting me go before I officially leave. I don't care. I'd like a break before the new job starts, and I'll be paid 80% more anyway when it does. So maybe the revenge wasn't by me for my coworker, it was by my owner boss towards her. The crappy coworker the boss also hates, but is forced to keep because she knows everything about her job and accepts terrible pay. Good luck with the project. The VP of sales doesn't understand how approvals work for this gig. I hope something messes up and they get dinged for non-compliance charges, which is apparently what happened for the company to go to crap anyway. I feel a bit for the new person he hired, though. Wow, this whole situation was a train wreck. But at least she got out of it with a fat pay bump and a front row seat to the fallout. Honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if the entire company collapses in the next year. Enjoy your well-earned break and your massive salary bump. You played this perfectly. And our last story. Creepy neighbor wouldn't stop watching me, so I gave him a taste of internet fame. So over the last year and a half, I've been dealing with neighbor harassing me every time I go in my backyard. Why? Because I decided to put up a wood privacy fence in my backyard on all 3 sides. Well, because I'm 70 years old, I have 3 little dogs, and I would like privacy from all 3 of my neighbors. While I was building my fence last spring, my neighbor Larry decided he'd come over and tell me not to put up the fence because he likes to look through into my yard. My son and I, while putting up the fence in that moment, laughed and said, "Well, Harry, this is not your property, and well, I am putting up this fence." He said a few not-so-nice words, and that was the end of it. Well, that's what I thought anyways. Immediately after, I'm trying to enjoy my new fenced-in yard. My, idiot for a neighbor puts a stump right next to the back of the fence and stares over at me every time I'm in the backyard. He's retired or out of work, I'm really not sure, but he's really creeping me out. I believe he's trying to prove to me that my expensive fence doesn't work to provide privacy from him and that I should have listened to him. After a few weeks of my neighbor staring over my fence, I, of course, said, "Stop being a creep," along with another few words. And, well, that's really when the crap hits the fan. Now, when I'm outside training my dogs I have 3 little mini schnauzers that I work with daily. He mimics me like a parrot and claps when I say "good girl" or "come here" or whatever it is. I try to ignore him and have even tried to call the police. The police told me there's nothing they could do if I don't have evidence of harassment. This is when it really gets interesting. I decided to get, 4 cameras in my backyard to catch his harassment. Obviously, Larry doesn't like that, now has begun to call me homosexual slanders. I'm not homosexual, but I really don't like being called those names when he sees me outside. Also, he'd become so bad he's throwing glass into my yard with I'm not sure what else, trying to, I would imagine, hurt my dogs, which is now really making me worried. I contacted the police, but they're now telling me there's still nothing they can do. So the only option I could think of is to put the video evidence of everything he's been doing on YouTube. Let's say there's over 12 videos on YouTube and still going up daily. I told him he's on YouTube under My Idiot Neighbor in our last confrontation, and then he told me to come over and fight him. I've lived in this house for 15 years, and we've never had a problem until this point. Update. This is the last week I ended up calling the police on my neighbor, and the cop came out as a mediator. He gathered us both together, and we sat down and talked about our issues. He agreed to stop bothering me and leave me alone as long as I take down my cameras and delete YouTube videos. He became a local legend. He as well will take down his, and we made an agreement to not bother each other and resolve our situation. It's been over a week, and I've taken down my cameras, and he his, and has been surprisingly pleasant when I see him. I am beyond thrilled to have my yard back, and he's even offered to help me if I ever need help with something. Public exposure can sometimes work wonders to end harassment, and you'll have documented proof should you need it in the future. Enjoy your peaceful backyard, but keep an eye on that stump, just in case. Hey guys, thank you all for watching the video. I'll see you in the next one.